Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were a lot of people's introduction to the Pokemon mainline games. Pearl was my first video game, and I look back at it fondly. But reminiscing about it stirs up some sadness, because my Nintendo DS and my copy of Pearl got stolen when I was a kid. Fast forward to over a decade later when the remakes were announced, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I was hyped for some fulfilling nostalgia, to relive those childhood memories that I'd lost. But when I actually played them, I felt so disappointed. In every YouTube video or Reddit post you see criticizing the remakes for their mediocrity, there's always a recurring theme. They should have made them more like I've never played Platinum, and it feels like I missed out because everyone calls this the best way to experience the Sinnoh Region, and some even say it's the best Pokemon mainline game ever. Was Pokemon Platinum really that good? Today, I'll be playing through it for the first time to find out. Our adventure kicks off in Twin Leaf Town. We head out with our rival Barry, meet Professor Rowan, and get our starter. In Pokemon Pearl, I chose Chimchar, and in Diamond, I chose Piplup. So naturally, this playthrough I'm gonna choose Turtwig. I'm nicknaming him after a friend way back in elementary school who lent me his Torterra X card, Kevin. If you're watching this, Kevin, I'm so sorry. We have our first battle against our rival, meet some nutjob named Cyrus at Lake Verity, then prepare to embark on a grand journey to explore the Sinnoh region, collect all 8 gym badges, and become champion of the Pokemon League. Before heading out though, the game has you return home one last time to tell your mom that you're gonna be leaving for a while. Not gonna lie, this got me a bit emotional since I also moved away from home recently. And there's this scene here where Barry's mom barges in, looking for her son, then just goes, "Oh, he left already. Oh, I should call my mom." Once we head out, I breeze past the first couple routes, enter Jubilife City, and meet a new character named Looker. Was this guy in Diamond and Pearl? I don't think so. He's a self-proclaimed globe-trotting elite of the international police, but his antics don't inspire much confidence in how good he is at his job. We eventually run into Barry, and Kevin just destroys him. Kevin's been going strong so far in this playthrough, being the sole member of my team all the way to Oreburgh City. And right before challenging the city's gym leader, Roark, Kevin evolved into a Grottle, making this battle much easier than it already would have been, since we have a grass type advantage against rock. That's 1 badge down, 7 to go. With gym badges comes the ability to use hidden moves outside of battle. I'm very glad HMs aren't a thing in Pokemon games anymore, since it's pretty annoying to have to teach a move you probably don't want. So that's where our new HM assistant comes in. God.
What is my purpose?
You learn HMs.
Oh my god.
We swing back by Jubilife City and run into Looker again, who says to watch out for shady grown-ups. Yeah, I'm talking to one. The folks he's actually talking about are Team Galactic, this sketchy organization that's trying to harness the energy of Pokemon. They're causing some trouble up in Florimore Town and Valley Windworks, so I head over there to kick them out. Here, we have to defeat one of Team Galactic's commanders, Mars. I can't look at this character the same way after playing Legends Arceus. Whew, they cooked. Her Perugly is one of Generation 4's most notorious opponents, but since I've been solely grinding Kevin, he's overleveled and this fight goes off without a hitch. With this place saved, our next stop is Eterna Forest. Gen 4 music has gotta be one of my biggest psychological weaknesses. I could just sit here all day basking in the sweet sounds of Eterna Forest. But we've gotta move on to Eterna City. Here, we're introduced to a character I'm sure you all know, the legend, Cynthia. Then, we challenge the city's gym. Kevin doesn't have a type advantage here against grass types, but with his high level, we brute force our way to a victory. Afterwards, we have to deal with a Team Galactic base that's rudely occupied this city. This place got a bit of an upgrade from the previous games. At the top of the base, we defeat another commander, Jupiter, which frees Eterna City from Team Galactic's influence. Before heading to the next city, a few things happened. Cynthia gave me a Poké-Egg, which would eventually hatch into a Togepi I named Egg. Then, I got an Explorer Kit and checked out the underground. I really liked mining for treasure in this area as a kid, since you could find some pretty cool items. I never really took advantage of the other multiplayer features this place had, like setting traps, decorating secret bases, and capture the flag. I totally would have liked to try that stuff in the remakes, but unfortunately, it sounds like they got rid of a lot of that stuff. Afterwards, I visited the old chateau back in Eterna Forest, where Kevin evolved into a Torterra. I used to hate going into this place as a kid because it was creepy, and honestly still is after all these years. The only reason I'd come here is to catch a Rotom, but if I recall correctly from Diamond and Pearl, you actually can't catch it until beating the Elite Four. Unless... So it turns out in Pokemon Platinum, you can catch Rotom before beating the game, and another Pokemon you can catch earlier than in Diamond and Pearl is Gible. This hidden cave is the only place you can catch it, and it used to be blocked until the 6th gym. In Platinum, we can get one right after the 2nd, which is awesome, and I just had to add one to my team. We now have 2 new members, Nuck and Kashimo. On our way to the next city, we run into Cyrus, the guy from the lake.
Hey, it's nice to meet you.
This world is imperfect.
What?
If only I could wipe away the impurities.
Is anybody else listening to
And
this?
make it as beautiful as me.
Well, that guy was weird. Anyways, we arrive at Hearthome City. Wait, Hearthome City? Hearthome City. How have I just realized how to actually pronounce this? There's a couple of neat things to do here. Ambi Square's a nice little area where you can walk around with your Pokemon. Then there's the Pokemon contests. Some people are really into these, but I'm not, so let's move on to the gym. Kevin learned to move Bite earlier, which is a dark type move, super effective against this gym's ghost type Pokemon. So, everyone here, including the gym leader Fantina, didn't stand a chance. Afterwards, we set out to Route 209 and visit Solaceon Town, home of the Pokemon Daycare and Solaceon Ruins. I decided to leave Egg here for a bit to collect that sweet EXP into Daycare. I then go through Route 215 and enter Veilstone City. I wasted my savings away at the game corner because I might have a gambling problem, then challenged the gym leader, Maylene, and her fighting type Pokemon. Once again, Kevin sweeps. We're not that far into the game yet, but I've already begun to really appreciate the improvements Platinum has made over Pearl and Diamond. The extra scenes and characters, some upgraded interiors, and especially the added Pokemon variety. I already mentioned Rotom and Gible earlier, but there's a lot more new Pokemon sprinkled in tastefully throughout this playthrough. I thought I knew these games like the back of my hand, but these additions give a breath of fresh air to Generation 4. Anyways, let's continue to the next town, Pastoria City, home of the Great Marsh, aka the Safari Zone. This place is awesome, except for the mud. This mechanic was a terrible idea. I bump into Barry again for another rival match, then take on the gym. Nuck recently evolved from a Gible into a Gabite, but is a bit underleveled. Despite Kashimo being even more underleveled, his electric type moves really came in clutch against Crasher Wake's water types. Things are going pretty good so far, but then Team Galactic detonates a bomb at the Great Marsh. I run into Looker, the cop, and he tells me, a child, to go after the terrorists that set the bomb off. Excuse me? I eventually do find the guy and he's like, dang, I wish I got to use this at the lake. And then he starts walking towards the lake. Dude, I'm not just gonna stand here and let you... Oh, Cynthia. That group of Psyducks at Route 210? Yeah, okay, give them the medicine, okay. Kinda bad timing, but thanks. Let me now get back to stopping the guy and... Oh, never mind, I guess? Cynthia asked me to help deliver something to her grandma in Celestic Town, so I trek upwards through Route 210. During this, I took Egg out of the daycare and I trained him until he evolved into a Togetic. At Celestic Town, we fulfill Cynthia's favor and meet her grandma, who shows us the town's ancient ruins. She explains that these paintings depict the Lake Guardians, 3 legendary Pokemon who keep balance in the world. Then, we're interrupted by Cyrus, who reveals that he's the boss of Team Galactic. His plans are still a bit convoluted at this point, but ultimately, he wants to change the world, and the balance that these 3 Pokemon bring are in his way. He tries to destroy the cave paintings, and to stop him, we battle. After defeating Cyrus, Cynthia's grandma gives us the hidden move Surf. Like all my other HMs, I wanted to teach Surf to God, but he needed to evolve to do so. Thus, God evolved. Now, we can surf to the next gym in Canalave City. I have a bad habit of rushing through playthroughs sometimes, but the peaceful music here reminded me to take a step back, slow down, and...
Nope.
Barry, I was kinda having a nice moment here. I hope you interrupted me for a good reason. Let's see what you got.
No.
Before challenging the gym, we take a detour to Iron Island. I found a shiny stone here to evolve Egg to a Togekiss. and we meet a trainer named Riley who gives us another egg. I know this will hatch into Riolu, one of the coolest Pokemon ever, so I plan to keep him around. Now for Canaleve's gym. I decided to tackle this place's steel types with Egg, who I taught to move Aura Sphere to. I feel like this move is kinda busted. 90 damage, 100% accuracy, and 20 PP, Byron didn't stand a chance. After that, we meet Barry, Dawn, and Professor Rowan in Canaleve's library. Suddenly, an explosion. Team Galactic set off another bomb, this time at Lake Valor. I'm shocked, I tell you. Who could have predicted this? Who could have known that Team Galactic would go after a lake and detonate a bomb? So Team Galactic is targeting the Lake Guardians we learned about in Celestic Town, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. We head to Lake Valor to defeat a new Galactic commander, Saturn, and rematch Mars and Lake Verity, but we're too late, and they've already kidnapped the Guardian of each lake. The last one remaining is in Lake Acuity. Getting there is a grueling hike. First, we need to cut through Mount Coronet, then battle through blizzards in Route 206 and 217. While doing that, we randomly stumble upon a hidden machine, Rock Climb. This is an essential move that we'll need in the future, and I don't know why Game Freak thought it should be an item that's this easy to miss. I mean, I know they're literally called hidden machines, but I don't think that's why they... Well, maybe it does make sense. During this hike, we got a couple new team members. Riolu finally hatched, and I named him Riley. And I also got a Sneasel, and named her after a character from the Pokemon Lucario movie, Summer. I don't really remember this character at all besides the fact that she had some Weaviles, so the name felt fitting. We'll need to defeat Snowpoint City's gym before we can get to Lake Acuity. This gym is the first one I'm nervous for, because just about every Pokemon on my team is weak to ice types. Riley isn't, but I just hatched him and he's super weak. I thought about doing a lot of grinding to level him up, but I got impatient and decided to wing it to see what happens. Everything was going well up until I faced the gym leader, whose name shall not be said. Her Abomasnow sets up Hail with its ability, Snow Warning, and after that, she brings out her trump card, Frostless. This thing is terrifying. Frostless's high speed stat combined with the Hail Abomasnow setup means that it can use the move Blizzard, outspeed all of my Pokemon, and hit with 100% accuracy. Nuck, Egg, and Kevin stood no chance. All I had left was Summer. She was underleveled because I just got her, and Frostless had just spammed Double Team to increase its evasiveness. I was prepared to lose, but somehow, things worked out. Summer knew the move Feint Attack, which was both super effective and a 100% accuracy move. I did not know that, so I was extremely surprised when my attacks didn't miss after all those double teams. With a sliver of health to spare, Summer secured the win. With the 7th gym badge, we can now use Rock Climb to get to Lake Acuity. Unfortunately though, we're too late. Commander Jupiter has already defeated Barry and took the legendary Pokemon of this lake. So we head to Team Galactic's headquarters in Veilstone City to rescue Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. Looker is there to help us out and is putting a lot of trust in a 10-year-old to take down a criminal organization. While battling my way through the building, we eavesdrop on a speech Cyrus gives to hype up his lackeys. Looker remarks that even though this guy is making no sense, he's quite charismatic, especially for a 27-year-old? Oh man. When we get to Cyrus, he reveals that he actually doesn't care about Team Galactic or any of his subordinates. He's just a selfish lunatic who wants to create a perfect world for himself, devoid of human emotions. After a battle, we enter his laboratory, which was a lot more disturbing than I remember. It's lined with what I assume are Pokemon in test tubes, and the scientists here feel sick about what they've done. Oh jeez. We finally free Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf from their imprisonment, but our business with Team Galactic isn't over yet. We've got to face Cyrus atop Mount Coronet to stop his plans once and for all. When I was a kid, I spent what felt like hours scrutinizing the maps of Mount Coronet in my Pokemon guidebook, trying to figure out how to navigate its complicated caverns. And all these years later, I felt like I instinctually remembered the right path to get to the top, which was a really cool feeling. Here we rematch some galactic commanders with Barry, then Cyrus starts executing his plans. He creates something called the Red Chain from his experiments on the Lake Guardians, and uses it to summon the legendary Pokemon, Dialga and Palkia. Just when he thinks he can destroy this world and create a new one, a shadowy figure emerges, Giratina. It takes Cyrus to the Distortion World, leaving a portal behind. Cynthia arrives and tells us we have to jump in together and stop Giratina, or else the world will be destroyed. The Distortion World has an eerie atmosphere that does some interesting things with physics. It would have been a really cool thing to see this otherworldly aesthetic expanded upon in the remakes, but we only got a glimpse of it, which I think was a missed opportunity. After getting pretty lost here and solving some puzzles with the help of the Lake Guardians, I finally confront Cyrus. Cynthia starts spitting facts and is like, if you hate this world, just go somewhere alone. But Cyrus is too far gone, and we fight. After he's out of the way, all that's left is to take care of Giratina. My strategy was to use Nuck to weaken Giratina, but he tries setting up a Shadow Force, so I swapped Nuck out with God, who's immune to ghost type attacks. There's something just so funny about how this eldritch beast is incapable of touching God with its strongest attack. Eventually, we do weaken him, and many Dusk Balls later, Giratina was finally captured. Before leaving this world behind, we reflect on Cyrus's attempt to rid the world of emotion, and Cynthia drops this line. Since there's sadness, we can feel joy. When there's anger, compassion is born. Oh yeah, that's some good stuff. Now, it's time to go back to collecting gym badges. We head to Sunnyshore's City to obtain the final badge. The gym leader, Volkner, has apparently been bored because he hasn't had a decent challenger in a while. Well, I'll be changing that since his electric types are a terrible matchup against Kevin and Nuck. Completing this gym was lightning fast, and we now have all 8 badges. All that's left is to make our way to Victory Road and challenge the Pokemon League. Let's go over our team one last time. I finally evolved Riley into Lucario. I realize I've barely given this guy any screen time, and I feel kinda bad because he's so cool. There's Summer, who I evolved into a Weavile, and then we've got our longest lasting members, Egg, Nuck, and Kevin. For those of you wondering where Kashimo went, let's just say that he didn't make the cut. God is still here though. Or is he? I did a lot of grinding to prep for the league, and everyone is now level 60. Was that overkill? Probably, because I kind of steamrolled the Elite Four, especially Flint.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
I'm not sure why I grinded so much. It could have been because of my trauma from my Digimon playthroughs still lingering. Or maybe I did make the right call here, because after all, we are about to challenge one of the greatest champions of all Pokemon games, Cynthia. Let's do this. She leads with Spiritomb, which has no weaknesses.
So
I sent out Kevin to hit him with Earthquakes as hard as possible.
So I sent out Turt to hit it as hard as possible.
Nuck took out her Togekiss.
Flakes takes out her Togekiss.
Then it was also Garchomp vs Garchomp. But unlike Jaden Animation's playthrough, my Garchomp lost. I send out Summer to avenge Nuck, then Kevin takes care of Lucario. But afterwards, we get caught off guard by Melodic's Ice Beam. I switch Summer back in, and she comes in clutch with a lucky crit, but is unexpectedly taken out by Roserade's Energy Ball. So I bring Egg in to land a final blow. And after all of that, we've become the new champion of the Sinnoh region. So, was Pokemon Platinum really as good as the internet hypes it up to be? Absolutely. I still love the original Diamond and Pearl, but even I can take off my rose-tinted glasses and see that these games are flawed. Platinum is an improvement in like every way I can think of. As I've already mentioned, Platinum improved some environments, added extra scenes to enhance the story, and provided a wider variety of Pokemon, and even made their evolution items more available. That last part about more Pokemon is probably my favorite improvement, which I know is a bit ironic given that I ended up with a pretty generic team. But the fact that the opportunity was there is much appreciated. Of course, how could I not mention the Distortion world, which was an amazing addition, and although this next feature isn't something I'm super into like most of the fanbase is, I can still appreciate the battle frontier and the hours upon hours of extra gameplay it provides. In retrospect, it seems as if Diamond and Pearl were incomplete, and Platinum was able to perfect what those games started. It baffles me that over a decade later, Nintendo looked at all of these objective improvements from Platinum that they had in the palm of their hand, and chose to ignore them.
It is evolving, just backwards.
It boils down to the simplest things like the freaking Pokédex app. In Diamond and Pearl, they had only one button to cycle through your apps, so if you didn't extra tap by mistake, you'd have to annoyingly cycle through every app again by tapping repeatedly. Platinum fixed this with a button to go back. Are you telling me that the remakes couldn't be bothered to add a single button here? Are you kidding me? Sorry, I get a bit heated thinking about how lazy it was for the remakes to ignore Platinum's improvements. But I'll try not to let that futile frustration overshadow the joyful and refreshing experience this playthrough was. This game made me feel like a kid again, and I now understand why it's so highly regarded. Pokemon Platinum truly is one of the best ways to experience the Sinnoh region, and if you haven't had the chance to pick it up yet, I highly recommend it.